Good morning. How you guys doing? How you doing? I know I'm here. I thought I was here for a rally or a protest. Come on now. How you doing? All right, perfect. I'm going to introduce a lot of amazing speakers, poets, and a singer today. I'm going to introduce some people that are working in the system, politicians like Mayor Bruce Delgado. I'm going to introduce Senator Bill Mooney. He's not speaking today, but I want to make sure I acknowledge his presence because he's fighting at the big stage, and we need people like him to change the system. Systemic racism is real. We can't go backwards. We can only go forwards. You know, before I did this, I was going all the way back. I was a kid from Shelby, Alabama. So me and my wife have been here for a little bit over 2 years now in Monterey County, California. I'm a graduate student at Middlebury Institute of International Studies. I'm now working for YWCA as the human trafficking coordinator, specializing in labor trafficking. A national NAACP member, and I was one of the leaderships of the Monterey County NAACP. Before doing this activist work, I can't sit on my butt. You know, I have to get out and do something. It's nice to say pretty words and have pretty titles, but action starts with your feet. You know?
Walk about it.
I'm vice president of the Democratic Club of Monterey Peninsula, but hey, if you're a Republican, I love you too. Just come work with me. Help me fix the system. We can argue later. That's all I got to say about that. I want to introduce my friend Sam Gomez. She goes, they, them, or Sam's pronouns. I'm still learning, and she's teaching me. I'll acknowledge my ignorance. That's the first step to anything, is to acknowledge that you have to learn something new. You know, this person right here has been helping me since Soledad. Sam introduced me to Soledad community, where they were scared. They didn't know what Black Lives Movement really meant, and they were 85%, 90% Hispanic population. You know, racism is in every community. Don't forget that. You know, but majority is 78% of white people are in the United States. I'm 12% of the United States population. I'm the first in my family to graduate high school. I'm getting my master's degree. I'm going to be a specialist in international relations. I was in the criminal justice system for 5 years as a corrections officer. So I'm not a person coming from the outside looking in. You know, my family, half of my family were locked up in prison or in jail, including my mama at one point. My mom was a maid. So I grew up from 14 until 18 years old. I was trained with the FBI, DEA, local and state federal law enforcement officers. That's what helped me continue to do the things that I've been doing. And it's interesting because when I was a kid, I wasn't a threat to my quote-unquote mentors when I was training with law enforcement officers. But as I grew older and I did these police academies every summer when I wasn't playing sports, football, and I ended up going to college for track and things like that back in the day when I didn't meet my wife, Rachel, and she didn't fatten me up. But all I'm saying is that something switched between when I was 14 years old and I turned 18, 19 years old for those mentors that were in law enforcement. They stopped saying, "We love you," and started saying, "Why are you thinking like that? Why are you talking like that? You used to be okay with paramilitary training, but now you shun at it." Because when I was a kid, they had me come in as like any boy would. You know, they wanted to teach us how to shoot guns. I didn't know anything about the consequences of that when you're 14, 15 years old. Well, as you get older and you start seeing your own family members and people in your community get locked up for a small bag of marijuana, cannabis, that is legalized here, but in the South they still put people in prison for 5 to 10 years for a little bubble gum wrapper amount of cannabis. So systemic racism is in everything. People don't realize that. People like me that jump into the system in law enforcement sometimes assimilate instead of integrate their culture. And we need to start integrating our culture in every single thing that we do. We do. I'm not just talking to my white people, my white friends, my white brothers and sisters. I'm talking to my African American, my Hispanic, my Asian brothers and sisters. Because when you watch George Floyd's video, there was an Asian man standing like this while a man was getting murdered.
All right.
You know, we need to start talking about everything.
Say it.
You know? So Sam, take it over, and then we're going to introduce Carlton to sing for us. Yeah.
All right, can everybody hear me? Yep. Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Gomez. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I am a resident of Monterey County and a local organizer. I am here today as a non-Black, Latinx, queer person standing in solidarity with the Black community and the Black Lives Matter movement. I am here to say Black Lives Matter, and I want you all to repeat it after me. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Trans Lives Matter.
Black Trans Lives Matter.
Black Trans Lives Matter.
Black Trans Lives Matter.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for being here today and standing in solidarity as well. First, I want to acknowledge that we are on sacred Indigenous land. We want to honor Indigenous and Black ancestors and our siblings that are here in the fight today. We would also like to honor and remember the Black lives that were taken from us too soon. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Derek Scott, Sandra Bland, and the countless others that were taken from us due to racial violence and police brutality. Let us also remember the Black trans lives that were taken from us this year. Monica Diamond, Nina Pop, Tony McDade, Dominique Remy Fells, Rhea Milton, and so many more who were taken from us by the hands of racial violence, police brutality, and transphobia. Let us please take a moment of silence to honor them and those who we may save this summer through our organizing. Thank you. We are all here for a reason. To show up for Black lives and to express our solidarity within this movement. We are here to say enough is enough. We will no longer allow this system to continue to function how it was originally created for, which is upholding white supremacy. Our Black brothers and sisters and siblings deserve better. It is beautiful to see how each and every one of you are here today to be a physical representation that Black lives matter. Now, I would just like to give a special thank you to Nathaniel Sawyer, the lead organizer of this rally and march, for planting the seed that brought this all to life.
Yeah.
I would also like to thank all of the speakers, donors, volunteers, and community supporters who have all made this possible. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts. Before we hear from the beautiful singer, Carlton McKnight, allow me to announce a few housekeeping items. This will be a safe and peaceful demonstration, so we ask that everyone please respect the space and follow social distancing as much as possible. Also, xenophobia, homophobia, and transphobia will not be tolerated. This will be an inclusive and spacious movement. Although this is a peaceful protest, I do understand the anger and demands for accountability from our government and police departments. While we are still facing the crisis of this pandemic, we would also like to ensure our safety by distributing masks near the first aid table over there. So please feel free to grab one if you do not have one. Now, without further ado, please let me introduce Carlton McKnight.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the roaring sea. Sing a song full of the pain that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the faith that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Next, I want to introduce a strong activist, powerful queen. I'll let her introduce herself. I'm letting everyone introduce themselves, but this is Kenya.
All the glasses folks that have to wear these masks are probably dying like I've been this whole COVID. Because as soon as you breathe, it fogs up your glasses and you're dying somewhere. So, my name is Kenya Burton. I am a poet and activist in the Monterey County. I am from Salinas, California. The piece I'm going to be doing is something I wrote for George Floyd. And not funny, but black people, we know how to make humor out of the things that hurt. So I had been writing this for another person, Eric Gardner, who had died, and I had been writing it for a long time, and it eventually led to me fixing it and finding a way to write it for everyone. So this is my piece. Help me, I can't breathe, he's going to kill me. Trigger finger counterfeit bill telling the officer he can't breathe 15 times, one time too many, taking another black man's life. 8 at night, 8 minutes of pleading, a 2-minute video, one body to be buried, a cop with hands in his pockets and a smirk on his lips, pointing like Columbus that found land that did not belong to him, and you still proclaim his innocence. You will move on to the next story while we scrape our men off of the streets. You let a guilty man go while we pick out a casket. You give him bodyguards to protect him while we choose his pallbearers. We are being gunned down like dogs, and they still have the audacity to say racism doesn't exist. Say that the system wasn't built from the bodies of our sisters and brothers. Say I'm angry. Say I'm vicious. Say that I am an animal, so it makes it okay to kill me. They use our deaths to teach us lessons. Don't talk too loud. Don't fight back. Hope that they get off of you before you take your last breath. You have a bulletproof vest and still our phones prove no protection. We can catch our murder live and you would still call it fabricated. Understand that your story will never be just yours. Turn our Black Lives Matter into All Lives Matter, because when the topic is not on them, they feel shadowed. You can't be the main protagonist without a white companion. If you hate this country so much, why stay in it? Take this knee and call it unpatriotic, call us scum. Tell me to go back to my country when this country is more mine than yours. Kaepernick got blacklisted and the cop gets repositioned. Takes a manhunt to bring a suspect in, only did something when we saw the footage. We can have a group of Nazis walk down these streets and receive no punishment but fight for the lives of black people and let the squads in. You want this skin, but not this condition. You want the show, but not the credits. You want this mouth, but won't take this medicine. In your vocabulary, injustice is called compromise, and justice is called special treatment. Woo. One voice it and make it 3/5 of a person, because it is easier to make a black person less than a man. And they wonder why we only rise in numbers. We are only seen as people when we are in groups. You hunted us down for centuries. You beat us. You lynched, you raped our women and children, and we asked you for equality, and you gave us bondage. Accept these conditions or fall victim. We want to live, but you want to finish what your ancestors started. You killed someone's son. You killed someone's daughter. You tell us to get over it after you wash the blood off, paint over our memorials, make us watch as you try to erase us. Word of advice: show them that the inside of your palms are the same color as their skin. Don't do anything that will make them want to come in. They will cut you open to see if you bleed the melanin you are so proud of. My mother told me from a very young age that you must respect authorities. Never speak too loud. If a cop stops you, don't do anything that will scare him. Look down and stay quiet. Do anything you can to make it home. Don't make a mother bury her child. Apologized for my flesh. Sorry that her loving a black man gave me a death sentence. Be good and get home safe. One of my worst fears is bringing a beautiful black boy into this world. That I will have to fill his bedtime stories with warnings and package his lunchbox with silence and submission. I will have to raise two different people, his blackness and his image. That he will turn on the TV years from now and ask, why do they kill us? I will tell him he needs to love his pigment, and he will say that it makes him a target. I will try to teach him how to love his hair, and he will say that it feels like rope, tastes like heritage. When the teacher asks him what he wants to be when he grows up, he will say old. That he will look at a textbook and see our murders and wonder when he will get his plot. I will have to tell him what my mother told me. They will see your skin as a weapon, your voice ammunition. Cover up but keep your hood down. Hands up and don't make a sound. If you are too loud, they will kindly compare it to the sound of their bullet. Ask if black people are so fast, why didn't they dodge it? Is this what they call family traditions? My culture was erased by privilege, and now it feels like the only thing I can pass down to my children is this noose, this gun, this knee, this barbed wire. Maybe one day he will stumble upon a story, a man with the name of Floyd, the marches that were held in his name, the air that his people breathed for him. When we got tired of being polite, tired of being peaceful, when a protest became a murder technique, angrier about a black man taking a knee against brutality than a white man taking a life. This is not just in Minneapolis, this is in our neighborhoods. One day, I will look at my beautiful black boy and pray that he makes it home, that he doesn't run into the law. I have found that I have come to fear cops more than burglars. We don't call to have the fire extinguished in case they call us the arsonist. How can you question us when time and time again you have proved that you will let us die? Ironic how a man who fought against gun violence died beneath a cop. Suffocated on the irony when the cop proved to him that he could make any man disappear, that he would get his 15 minutes of fame from the grave. They thought that we wouldn't fight for him. They thought that we wouldn't take back the air they stole from him. We won't let him disappear. We won't let this son, this father, this brother, this human being fade away. Did you know one of the last things that George Floyd did was call out to his mother? Mama, he cried as if maybe the woman who had gave him life could have saved him, or maybe he cried out to her because he knew he was going to die. Like a child seeking comfort in a dark night, wanting comfort but only feeling the concrete floor. Mama, help me. I can't breathe. He's going to kill me. Thank you.
Next up is a beautiful poet. Her name is Vanessa, but she should be called Queen Vanessa. Oh, Queen Tay, I'm sorry. I don't Vanessa. I see I'm already tired.
You all right? You all right? Keep going. You all right?
And Tay, thank you for being here. This woman can preach poetry like no other. We need more poets like her. We need more activists like her. And I appreciate you, Tay. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out first. You know, Black Lives Matter. And it's just so great to see how many people are realizing that now. So are you blind? Or is this really what you call trying? If you trying, you're not applying, because we all dying. I see the signs, so I'll try to make the world divine. Until then, I'll meet him when it's my time. This society is making our leaders a lost cause. Those who fought laws with the intention to fault flaws. Many sacrificed their own lives for us all. Let's not run around like Dr. King didn't touch y'all. We have everything our parents want and much to get it. Let's not die blind and live stupid. Instead of use it, we abuse it to be literate to music or however we choose it. Don't break the pool sticks and expect to win. Come again, because we're born in sin. And the Emancipation Proclamation supposedly freed the slaves, but it was slaves in the house of A. Don't let nobody spit on your back and say it's rain. Pay attention to the storm to enhance your brain. Do you remember Emmett Till? Proof in the hatred for real, but yet and still many blacks you killed. Let's grow through what we're going through. I can show you what faith can do with grace too. Life can make you, don't let it break you. Love can take you to infinity. If you surrender to the divinity, we can all begin to see life in its entirety. What you desire to be is entirely up to you. Be aware of the things you say and do. Even when people try to misuse you, abuse you, or confuse you, you have to let them lose you and refuse to be taken for granted. Peace must be demanded on this planet. Let's search intentionally for the beauty, and eventually we can change reality, because I know that spiritually this is our duty. When we found out society was just a fallacy and actually you and me, we have the power. and the monopoly can never stop our seeds. So properly, we can expose and devour. And anatomically, we have evolved to be sophisticatedly more self-aware. And incommensurably, we can begin to see we are the infinity and nothing compares. We are the opulence and we have a lot of sense, and I admit, I really don't care who doubts this. We are the superstars and we're coming about this. I know the truth and I'm willing to show you, absorb this and let it grow you, because I want you all to know too. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Queen Vanessa. This woman is going to be the Beyonce of Monterey County. I'm just saying. I know you guys know Helen Rucker, Mel Mason, all these people that are standing up here, these young folks. They're going to be the next generation where you're going to be like, whoa, these folks were doing it when they were young. So remember these faces, remember these names.
I want to start off like Queen Tay said. Thank you all for coming out. I know in this time right now, what we're seeing on the news, it can be kind of scary to take a stance for something that's kind of controversial, but just reassure everybody that Black lives do matter and you all are doing the right thing today. I also wanted to make it clear that the protests and the issues we're seeing around the country for the past now 20 days, this is written from my first speech, that's 12 days, is not just a Black community issue, it's an American policing issue, it's an American racism issue, and it's an American issue that can come into any community, as mentioned before. The history of policing can be traced back to the 1600s, and its main goal was to return runaway slaves to their slave owners. So that's 401 years of a system of policing that was never here to protect us. It has not changed much as well, and after the 13th Amendment, which supposedly freed the slaves, we've been given false hope that we're free. In fact, instead, that turned into mass incarcerations for our Black and brown communities. We lived through a presidential campaign with a message of creating a war on crime, and what that really meant was a war on our Black and brown communities. Since the Civil Rights Movement in the 1950s and 60s, we've been given, again, the false hopes of Martin Luther King, stating that we have come a long way, he's changed the world. Ironic that a peaceful protester died by gun violence. Then we ended the Jim Crow laws, and citizens were then given hope that we have equality, but systemic racism continues to plague policies and government as we see it today. Look at the issues at our border with our brown brothers and sisters being locked in cages like they're not humans. Again, this is not a brown or Black issue, this is an American issue. Our underfunded education system has plagued the United States since the 1930s. It's 2020, but as you see after COVID, who takes the first hit? Our education systems. And a system that's already woefully underfunded, and which ones are going to suffer the most? Our Black and brown communities. Our voter rights are being trampled. John Lewis in 1965 marched over the Selma Bridge as a college student to lead the Voting Rights Act in Bloody Sunday, and we were told we had the right to vote. Just last Tuesday in Georgia, thousands of precincts closed down. Where? In Black and brown communities. 5-6 hour waits just to vote. Again, a false hope that we are free and we have equal opportunity. Systemic racism is not just a police department issue either. It's an institutional issue. It's ingrained, as far as we can see, in all institutions and organizations across our country. The recent Starbucks controversy proved that money-making machines make our issues, Black Lives Matter, a political or a personal issue instead of a human rights issue. We can't continue to allow this nation to water down our movement. Yes, we have a platform due to the long overdue demand of police department accountability. However, we must use that platform to rid institutional racism from every single sector. And I'm glad you're all here to be a part of that. The first way we do that, though, is by voting locally. I know we hear a lot about voting and we pay a lot of attention to the presidential elections, but if you look back at 2008 and 2012 when we elected Obama, we were supposed to show back up in 2010 and in 2014 and re-vote in the Congress and the Senate. Yeah. We allowed the right wings to taint Obama's legacy, right, by saying that he didn't do much for the Black communities. Well, we didn't show up for him 2 years later to give him a Senate that would give him bills to do something for us. Again, Those local elections have big decisions on your governors and your mayors too. We see with electing Gavin Newsom, right? CTA endorsed him. He's done multiple things on this COVID issue that went against federal and national policies. Again, it's a local and a state issue, so we must vote other than every 4 years. Also, to touch on that, it ties into with defunding the police. I know that's an extremely scary phrase right now, and it doesn't mean removing police officers from the equation. It means removing overly funded funds from our local cities and communities to places that need it. We go right back to the issues of education, of health. During COVID, who was essential workers? Educators and healthcare providers. Yet, when we look at this budget from last Tuesday in Seaside, 43% of their budget is going to police officers. We know that Seaside's education system's not what it should be, and their community organizations are not funded the way that they should be. So we all need to show up in so many different ways other than the November 2020 election. Schools and Communities First is also a ballot the CTA, the Teachers Association, put on the ballot for 2020. And what that would do was it would tax more than $12 billion to large corporations and give that money back to the communities, to schools, community organizations, health organizations, things like the Village Project in Seaside, right? So in November 2020, again, show up and be educated on our ballot passings too, ways that we can bring money back to our Black and brown communities. So I urge you all to continue to speak up at your city council meetings anywhere in Monterey County, whether it's Salinas, whether it's Seaside. There's a lot of Instagram accounts right now that will keep you updated on those things. One of them is Communities Before Cops. That IG page, if you want to go find that right now, is saturated with ways that you can get involved locally. Also, I Am a Voter on Instagram will keep you updated. And right now, I urge you all, if you don't know if you're registered to vote or you're not sure when your local elections are coming up, text the word voter to 26797. I promise you it's not like going to steal your information or anything. What it's going to do is it's going to send you all the information you need to know based on your zip code for your upcoming elections, for mayors, governors, even the 2020 election if you want to know which ballots to vote for, which ones are going to help your communities. It will help you get registered. You can track your registered voting history, all of that stuff. So it's super simple. Young folks out there, those of you who just turned 18, you especially, you can do it from your phone, you can do it from your iPad. But again, together, we can make a difference if we decide to go out and show our voice. Starbucks retracted their Black Lives Matter stance, right? And that wasn't because they woke up the next day and said that was mean, right? It was the power of the people. The power of the people is much stronger than the people in power. So thank you guys.
I want to mention the NFL retracted theirs as well, by the way. The NFL, the school that I went to, also is retracting. Every single organization that wants to continue to be an organization is retracting anything that has to do with being involved with systemic racism. You know, we have a person that's going to be coming up, Wes White. He has been in every single rally, protest, behind the scenes. The guy behind the camera right now. Before he comes up, I'm going to let you guys know, we're going to march today, but it's very important to hear these voices because we can text back and forth on Facebook all day, on Instagram, Twitter. I'm an old soul even though I'm young. And so I hate really getting on social media and saying stuff because people take it out of context. But it's really important because if we're going to change anything, mayor, the senator, the council member that's here, I believe, apologies. I don't talk to him as well, but I know of him, you know, and I'm going blank right now. Anthony Rocha from Salinas, correct? Salinas City Councilman, Anthony Rocha. Good young man, a huge clap. How old are you, Anthony? I want them to know. 21 years old, by the way. 21 years old. We need more of that. All right, Wes.
All right.
And then Christina Medina Dirksen for Marina City Council too. Yeah?
Christina Medina Dirksen, of course. She's running for Marina City Council. So I thought I would mention every single person on my mind at this moment. But this woman is actually my neighbor as well. She has a huge heart. She's always fighting for people. She loves Marina. She's born and raised here. Her kids are born and raised here. She is the person that you should be talking to if you're from Marina. Is there any more politicians that I have not named here? Regina
Oh, no, that's too long to say. Good morning, everyone. My name is Regina Gage, and I'm currently, I work for Meals on Wheels of the Salinas Valley. I'm the executive director there, but I'm also on the Salinas Valley Memorial Healthcare District, and I think you and I are on the Central Committee together at Monterey County Democratic Central Committee. So thank you, and thank you again for emphasizing the fact that people have got to get out and vote. It's so important, so thank you.
Thank you. I want to give a shout out to our donors and volunteers really quick. Whites for Racial Equity. They are allies who are fighting to educate themselves, to not be racist, to not have ignorant thoughts. They donated a significant amount of money for water, snacks, things like that we have today. I want to give a shout out to our brothers. Free to the community. Yeah, of course it's free. You know, nobody gonna. Come on now. I'm cheap. But how many of you are know a social worker or teacher? Keep your hands up. Guess what? I'm one of those guys that it's about policy change. That's what my specialization is about. And Vanessa just mentioned defunding law enforcement. And the thing about that is, you're going to be giving that money back to our educators who can actually give me and my kids an actual education. Maybe we'll get to learn about our own heritage for a change. You know, I shouldn't have to learn about Malcolm X, Martin Luther King only on the special holidays. I should know more about them. I should know more about Rosa Parks, more about Harriet Tubman, more about Nat Turner, and many other brothers and sisters that don't get mentioned that helped create with blood, sweat, and tears this country that we're standing on. All right. Yeah, Rosalind Green is here as well. She's actually going to speak later. I have her on the but I wanted to mention. Yeah, I got you. All right, Wes. You want to say anything?
I'm on.
All right, thank you.
Go Wes. Hey folks, my name is Wes White. I live in Salinas. I'm a homeless advocate as well as a video journalist. Do anything helpful and positive, civic, social, environmental justice oriented. And I just want to say Black Lives Matter. I also want to say that, being a homeless advocate, I see a lot of people get rolled out and a lot of money for defund the police and refund the community. I'll tell you right now, Salinas can save a couple million a year just by stopping the sweeps. By itself, and so when I hear Black Lives Matter, I also hear stop the sweeps. I hear, no stop and frisk, no seizure of property, just driving people on. Right now, you're only allowed to stay on a sidewalk. That's the only place you're legally allowed to be, which is very dangerous. And then they don't even let you do that. They'll pull you out of a tent and say, let me see your ID. I just want to educate you about the homeless ordinance, the camping ordinance, that you can't be having your tent up after 7. But while they get your ID, they're running your name and hoping that they can come up with something to take you. And that's the whole, this whole snatchery still happens. It's never stopped. It's such a driving force, this mass incarceration. It's still happening, and they're looking for a job. It's about human suffering, and that's what pays for it. That's the scary part about it. And it could be you, it could be me, anybody. It's open discrimination is what it really comes down to, and it starts with Black Lives Matter.
Is Monica Aguilar here? Okay. Rigo is from, we have people from all over Monterey County, by the way.
Great.
That's what it's about. Rigo is from Soledad. Rigo is from Greenfield. I met him in Soledad. And he is a strong activist, a warrior for change. And I'm glad he's here to speak.
Thank you, everybody. How's everybody doing out there? Where's all my people at? Look around you, man. Look around you. We got black, we got brown, we got white, we got Asian. What's up, man? Thank you, everybody out here from Marina. I love Marina, man. I've been out here a bunch of times, man. Had to pay a bunch of traffic tickets. But back to the matter at hand. Black Lives Matter!
Black Lives Matter!
And you see me here in my brown attire, my Mexican flag, because I love black people. I love my white people. I love my Asian brothers and sisters out there. And this is all for us, man. I want to thank Nathaniel and all these speakers out here for being here, for uniting us together, because in unity we can move as one. This movement, I had all this stuff written, but you know what? I'm gonna shoot from the hip, man. I'm gonna shoot from the hip. I heard somebody out there, my brother right there. Fist up to you, brother, because I heard you. I don't want to talk too much. I want to march. I want to march. I want to protest. I'm proud of you making all these signs out here. I'm black. That Black Lives Matter. None are free when some are oppressed. You know, register to vote. Let's rock that, baby. Let's rock that young, old, black. White power, you know, we're gonna do all that. Right? This is about all of us, a community uniting together. You know, we got a few police officers out there. You know, thank you for being out here, for trying to do what you can to make us safe. But the reality is there is some racist police officers out there. You know, and we gotta stop that, because it's reality. That's reality right here. It ain't no joke. This is real. It's racist out there, man. I grew up in Greenfield where they don't even want to provide for us, man. They got funding for police. Our education is at its all-time low. You know what I mean? There's people living in a house because they don't want to provide house. There's like 20 people living in a house because they don't want to provide housing for them. You know what I mean? This is reality. I started a boxing program about 4 or 5 years ago for the youth out there, because there ain't nothing out there. And it starts with people like you. People like you out here, being out here, making a movement. But thank you to these beautiful women for stating all that stuff, and thank you to my brother Wes right there for, you know, letting that knowledge known about homelessness. That's reality. And on top of that, I think we have mentioned on the group message about we can address every single matter at hand, but in reality, Black Lives Matter. Let's take a moment of silence for our fellow brother George Floyd. You know, and also there's another one in Vallejo that happened last week. I don't know if you're aware. You know, Sean. He was murdered by a police officer with his hands up on his knees, shot 5 times. 5 times. Moment of silence for all victims of police brutality. Thank you, and I want to just finish off. You know, like I said, I had my notes here, but I like to shoot from the hip sometimes, man, and thank you so much for that beautiful poetry, man. I felt that, you know. Thank you so much. And everyone here, thank you. You know, united we stand. Yeah. Together, you are the difference. Let's empower each other. Let's educate each other. How my brother said right here, you know, we don't need a month to learn about black history. We don't need a month to learn about brown history. Let's teach that. Yeah. We are a diverse culture all across the United States of America. This is our country. We are the revolution. You are the resistance. Si se puede. Si se puede. Tu lucha es mi lucha. Your struggle is my struggle.
I'm not afraid of coolies right now. I'm down for this cause before I die over COVID-19. I'm down for this. All right, we have Christina Medina that's going to say a few words, and her lovely activist that she's going to introduce and bring up. After Christina Medina, we have Tina Nieto, if she wants to say a few words as the chief of police, show unity that way. And we're almost done. We only have a few more speakers.
Thank you, Nate. Why don't we all give it up for Nate? Yes. And Rachel, his wife. Hi all, my name is Christina Medina Dirksen. Y'all can hear me? Yeah. Alicia up there, you can hear me up in the corner? Yeah, okay. I just want to welcome you to Marina. I've lived here for more than 20 years. I am a proud Latina, raising a multicultural family here in Marina. We are a diverse community. We stand with our black African American brothers and sisters. And it's quite ironic that we have this rally here in town. We are the 8th most diverse city in California. Wow. Yeah, look around. If you're not from here, you probably want to be from here. It's a little bit of a bubble in the sense that, you know, I look out my neighbors, Nate and Rachel, African American, white. I got Turkish on my block. I have Slovakian, like who knows where that's at, you know? Seriously, Asian, Korean, we're all across the board Guatemalans, so I feel like we got a bit of a bubble in our town. Our police, I must share with you just a quick story. When we talk about defunding the police, my opinion is we look for reallocation. Last year, our city invited, which your cities probably do too, community to be in on budget sessions. I brought my girls. I got 11-year-old triplets. Yeah. And running for city council, but that's not why I'm here. Anyways, my point is, my girls put their dots what they thought was important, and it was recreation, okay? It was the equestrian center, because I got a horse lever on my hands, it was fixing our streets. And you know what happened as a result of our community coming together and passing a half-cent sales tax? We got $2 million to allocate to those areas we found important. Okay? So I urge you all to please get involved. Learn to read a budget. Look over where spending is going. And most importantly, get involved. Yes, right? We gotta vote, right? We gotta change the system from inside, right? Because we talk about, we're all angry, and this is a moment we've got to seize, right? We got to get inside these institutions, and we got to make change from inside. So that's why I'm running for city council. But anyways, guys, I implore you to really, really pay attention. Do not be reactionary, be actionary, right? Be actionary, be action-oriented. Because this is our time, we the people, 400 years of not being part of it. Proud Latina, 401. We are going to change it up in here, right? Yeah, we are. I know I'm in a time crunch, but we are organizing. Most important is our youth. This young lady right here is going to talk to you a little bit. We are organizing a youth-led rally because their voices matter. Black Lives Matter, their voices matter because the youth are going to be carrying up our vision. So, June 27th, we were having it for tomorrow, but they spoke and they scolded me that we need more time to organize. So Alexis here is going to tell you a little bit about that, a little bit about herself. She's a youth leader. She's going to be she is somebody. Sorry. She is somebody. So I want to introduce you to Alexis Williams, who is a Seaside junior. No, sorry, Marina High School junior.
My name is Alexis Williams, and like she said, I'm a Marina High School junior. I'm about to be a senior, actually. I just wanted to especially invite the youth out to our event on June 27th because I think it's very important to get kids involved in these things, because I feel like a lot of kids are sheltered from these things. They don't see these things that are going on, and then they get older and then they see it and they don't understand. So I think it's very important to get kids involved at a young age so that they can understand these things now, so that when they get older, they're prepared to deal with these things. Growing up, I didn't really see color at first. I think a lot of people say that, but I really didn't. I really didn't see that I was darker than other people. I didn't see that my mom was light, I was dark, my dad was dark. I didn't see that. I didn't see it until a little girl told me, "Do you shower?" And I said, what do you mean do I shower? Of course I shower. Everyone showers. She goes, "'Cause your skin's dirty." And that kind of took me back. I was like, what do you mean my skin's dirty? I shower. And that's my first time I realized I was black. That's the first time I realized that I was black. I remember when I was 12. 12-year-old, you're dumb. You don't think about what you're doing. And there was a fight that was gonna happen. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go see the fight. I'm in 6th grade. I want to see the fight. And I went and I let my friend take my phone and record it. And when we ran, because the cops showed up, she gave my phone to the cops. She gave my phone to the police officer. And so when I called my phone looking for my phone, a police officer answered. I was terrified. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get arrested. I'm 12 years old. I don't know what's gonna happen. So I walk up where the cop says he is, and I'm talking to him. He already caught the girls. He already got confessions, etc., etc. Several people have the video, and he looks dead at me, the only black girl there, and says, "Will you send me the video?" And I said, "Don't you already have it? I don't need to send it to you." And he goes, "If you don't send it to me, I'm gonna arrest you for obstruction of justice." I was 12 years old. What kind of threat am I? At 12 years old, I'm 5 feet tall. You're probably 6 foot, 300 pounds. what threat do I make that you have to arrest me for obstruction of justice? And things like that shouldn't happen. I'm lucky enough that I've never experienced physical police brutality, only verbal things. I've had comments made to me by cops. Thank God that I have never had a cop put their hands on me. But I've heard stories from my family growing up after my first experience with racism. Hearing stories about my dad, his uncle would come home trying to get home from work every day, and he'd get beat up by cops just trying to get home. And it shouldn't be like that. We should be able to walk freely and be able to not have to worry about looking behind our back. I shouldn't have to worry about those things. I shouldn't have to think when I'm picking out a bag to wear, I'm gonna wear a backpack in case I need to run, so that in case I'm in danger. I shouldn't think that. Like that, when I realized I chose a backpack today, I thought about it and I was like, this backpack doesn't match this outfit. Why'd you choose a backpack? Because I'm scared. I shouldn't be scared. I should not be terrified to go out. I actually wrote a few words that I'd like to share with you guys. Okay. 246 years of slavery. I can't even read this. 99 years of Jim Crow laws. 86 years of lynchings. 14 years of fighting for civil rights and police brutality to date. To date. Our existence in America has been a fight since the first slave was dragged across this land. Too many deaths for a weapon they never knew they had. They call my arms guns, but they take it too literally. Why is my skin seen as a weapon? Why do I scare you? Why is my skin seen as a weapon? I don't understand that. They make fun of us for not having fathers, yet they leave our fathers dead on the streets. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Tamir Rice, Eric Gardner, Walter Scott, and many more. They tell me, you didn't experience slavery, you didn't experience Jim Crow laws, but that doesn't mean I'm not affected by the history. That doesn't mean that I don't look back and that doesn't scare me. This is a poem that was written by a man in New York City named Keon. He says, justice is what we want. Rights are what we need. Victims are who we are, and pain is what we bleed. False is what they teach. The truth is what they hide. Everything is an illusion. Don't trust your eyes. Everything that we are taught isn't always the truth. Like, there's so many things. Did you guys know that Central Park was actually a black colony that was thriving? It was a thriving black colony. They didn't like that, so they built Central Park on top of it. Why don't I know that? Why didn't I learn that in school? Why wasn't I taught that? That's something I will never understand, is why these things are hidden from me. And just like the woman back here said, she said they want to look like us, they want to act like us, all these different things. They want our mouth, but when it comes down to it, they don't want to speak. They don't want to speak. They want to act like us, talk like us, walk like us, dance like us, dress like us. They steal all they want from black culture, but will they stand for black lives? Thank you.
Remember, guys, this is I would call this a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a lot of us. You know, we don't get a lot of opportunities to sit out here and listen to people that have a lot to say, that have a lot inside of them that they want to share. I know with our culture, we want to speed up things. We want to go, but let's relax today. Let's enjoy this time together. You know, this is something that we'll be able to share forever. You know, I want to introduce Tina Nieto next, and after Tina Nieto, I would love for Bruce Delgado to come up.
So, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything that's happened to everybody. You know, I'm for change. I'm for listening to the voices, having the hard conversations. You think it's easy standing here as the police chief when there's a lot of anger and resentment and fear and the things that our community's feeling? It's not easy. But I can tell you that the Marina Police Department is here to listen. We're here to listen. We work for you. We work for the people. I believe in power for the people. I know my officers believe in power for the people. Because without change, I can tell you a young Latina woman who is gay would not be standing here as your police chief if there wasn't change in our communities. So we're here. We're here so your voices can be heard in a peaceful manner. And we're here to have the conversations with you if you need to have that one-on-one conversation with me and my police officers. We will listen. We will listen to the things that we don't like, that we don't want to hear. But we will listen because we work for you. Thank you for letting me speak, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Chief. Everybody give the Chief a round of applause. She didn't have to be out here talking. We need to see more of that on all these divisive news channels. I would claim both Fox 6 News and CNN for being both divisive. They both have their own agendas. You know, I'm more of a research guy, so I'm always into BBC and Pew Research and other things that you probably guys don't even care about because it's boring. But it's the stuff that I look into. And I want to say thank you to the police officers here and the chief, because I can't speak for every law enforcement agency in the county or in the world, because we know about systemic racism. We know that there aren't bad bunches. There's idiots with guns. There's Josie Janes with racism, and they were the bullies in high school, and now they got a gun. And the people here, though, you see, that's leadership. That's what we need. We need more people to. She was crying, man. She's embarrassed for what's happening right now. You know, she spoke from the heart. So we're gonna let Mayor of Marina, California, for many years. I believe 2008 was it? Since 2008, you've been mayor, Bruce. Bruce Delgado. This man is like the volunteer warrior. He's always like messaging me on email. Nate, can you go to the park and dig up these roots and help me, plant some flowers all over Marina? I'm like, man, come on, Bruce, I got a life too now. And he's like, Nate, you like to volunteer, you can help me just one Saturday. I'm like, yes, sir. I'll be honest with you, I need to do more here in Marina, not just all over the county. And Bruce is making sure that I do that. So this is Bruce Delgado, people.
Good morning. Welcome to the largest protest ever in the city of Marina. The largest social justice event ever in the city of Marina. It's a very special place here. 64% of Marina residents are not Caucasian. 52 languages and dialects are spoken by our families. And we are shat upon, like most communities of color have been for thousands of years, but we'll just talk about the last 400. I'm your local stiff, so I dressed like it today to be sure you knew that. But I wore these shoes that were made for marching. So I can't wait until we get started. Walk through the neighborhoods of Marina and then hit the downtown with all of you marching in the streets for the reasons we came. I pledge allegiance to liberty and justice for all. But where exactly is that liberty and that justice? Did Black Lives Matter when half of the prisoner slaves chained in slave ships died on their way to America to be abused as United States slaves by the new Americans? Did Black Lives Matter during the slavery years until 1863 when slavery officially ended? Did Black Lives Matter leading up to the 1960s after official slavery ended, but in reality when their bodies were treated similar to those of slaves? Did Black Lives Matter when law enforcement authorities beat and killed nonviolent, peaceful protesters during the Martin Luther King Jr. civil rights era? Did Black Lives Matter when George Floyd was murdered? And did Black Lives Matter when we gathered here today a couple hours ago? Yes, of course, Black lives have always mattered. But their minds and their spirits and their bodies have not been treated with liberty and justice for all. The two most important questions are, number one, will Black Lives Matter after today? And what will I do about it so that the minds and spirit and bodies of Black Americans won't continue to be oppressed and abused and treated like second-class citizens? And question number two, last question, what will each of you do to stop the treatment of Black Americans as if their lives don't matter? Next Tuesday night, the Marina City Council will discuss how to spend the next $26 million of annual budget that includes not one dime to change anything about how Black lives or other people of color are treated in Marina. Wherever you live, it's probably the same story next Tuesday night. Will you be there to speak up when the money is on the line? This August, the state of California will decide if drinking water used by Marina citizens, who are, like I mentioned, 64% non-white, whether their water will be polluted and stolen by a largely Caucasian water corporation called Cal-Am to deliver drinking water not to us here in Marina, but to the affluent communities such as Carmel, Pacific Grove, Monterey, and Pebble Beach. Have you noticed for centuries, sand mines, landfills, sewage treatment plants, desalination facilities like the one Cal-Am is proposing to steal Marina's water are concentrated in communities of color like Marina? Will you be there to speak up in August? Contact me later if you want to know what you can do specifically to help Black lives in Marina or your local community. I pledge allegiance to helping Black Lives Matter and to liberty and justice for all. I hope you do too. And I want to thank to each of you for making sure your moment and your life here today matters. Thank you, Nate, for bringing us together. Thank you to our police chief, who is the best in the world. And thank you to all of you for listening to these wonderful speakers such as Vanessa and these wonderful poets. It's a day that I will remember. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I'm getting itchy for a march, but I want to say a huge thank you to Karen, and I'm going to let her introduce herself really quick. She doesn't really want to talk, but I want her to introduce herself because she has a lot to offer for our community and kids. After Karen is Rosalind Green. After Rosalind, we're just going to have a small, quick speech from Anthony Arocha, then Maddox will end us, and then it's time to march.
Let's get it.
And if you need some water or snacks, this will be the time to get them for when you're marching, so you're, hydrated and things like that.
Hi everyone, my name is Karen Hassan. I'm an equine veterinarian and an equine surgeon. My husband's he's a small animal surgeon, and we both went into veterinary medicine. And looking out at some of the animals that are here, and this is our little pony down here. Animals are truly colorblind. They treat people kindly when people are kind to them. And we've seen all sorts of things go on, and my husband and I both went into veterinary medicine to be part of that relationship that people have with animals. That being said, it's a pretty unintegrated group of people, and for a long time I've tried to reach out to different communities to have people of color more involved in veterinary medicine. This little pony, Ellie, is going to lead the march with Nathaniel, and she lives over at the Marina Equestrian Center with her little brother, Apollo. We're going to be starting programs for kids, and we hope the first one, we're hoping for July 18th. This is Linda. She's part of our nonprofit, and she can take your email address. We don't have anything to sign up right now, but if you're interested in a meet and greet with the pony, we can talk a whole bunch more about it. But we want the kids in the community to be able to interact with. How many kids get to interact with horses? It shouldn't just be for rich people. It should be for everybody. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I love you. All right, Rosalind. Rosalind is from Seaside. She's a queen. I would say she's a queen of Monterey County, though. I stand on the backs, shoulders of people like Rosalind. We just met each other not too long ago, but I already feel like she's my second mom, third. You know what I mean? That's how it is for me. Black folks are family to me. We ain't friends. All right.
Thank you, Nate. I'm not going to keep you long because the time has been far spent. I know that we are getting weary and standing around, and we want to get to the march. That's the biggest and strongest part of the movement. But I will take a moment just to kind of reflect. I won't echo because everybody that has already come has said everything that we need to hear. But I do want to reiterate the strong points. You know, let's fill out those census. Let's make our numbers visible. I know that people of color have shied away from census. I can remember as a little girl that my mom never filled out the census all the way to the point where the people would knock on the door, and then when they knock on the door, you know, she'd say, "Tell them I'm not here." And that's a real issue with people of color. We feel like, oh, that's just a tracking system. They're just trying to get in our business. But we need to fill out those census, and we need to be counted so that we can have the dollars put where they should be. And so, like the mayor said, come out and oppose oppression with your votes. So I want to strongly encourage registering to vote if you're not already registered, because the power belongs to the people, and we need our voices heard in these meetings. You know, if you right now, I know we're via Zoom. Send your letters in, email them, mail them, get on the calls, make your comments, but let it be known where you want to have your dollars spent. We are using a very strong word that is causing a lot of fear in our communities in regards to defunding. So why don't we just take a different approach at that, since that's bringing about a lot of fear. I also want to say, though, that those that is fearful of that word probably need to ask yourself, why does that scare you? Because what the real end cap to that is to reinvest, to refund the community. These are our tax dollars, right? And so we want to see a larger spread and scale of where the money's spent. We shouldn't, I know in Seaside alone, we have close to half of our budget spent in policing, and we're giving our rec department, you know, just a point in that, you know. And so we want to reshape our communities. We're doing the work. I know in Seaside crimes are down, and not because of policing, but because of the people. Because we're out there, grassroots folks, nonprofit folks, people that care, we're out there. And so I have my daughter come up with me. She's 12 years old. She's been a protester since she was 4. We started with the Trayvon Martin incident in 2012. She was only 4 years old at the time. She is my last born child, but I have 2 grandchildren, and I want to see my children and my grandchildren just be able to live, not only survive, but to thrive in their communities, and not have to spend their lives protesting like I've had to do. And so I appreciate the affirmation and the shout out. I want to give it right back to Marina. I love you guys. Let's stay strong in this. We don't want to have another long pause. We don't want to let this momentum die down. We're going to use the momentum in the moment for the movement, and we're going to make this change happen. Thank you.
All right, we've got 2 more. We're gonna introduce Anthony Arocha for a few seconds. I know you're a councilman, so don't spend 25, 35, 40 minutes. So. And after we got Maddox to end us and start a march.
Thank you so much. But my title, school board member.
There you go.
I want to thank all of you for being here today. We all look at history books and we see when movements have happened, and we ask ourselves, what would I have done in that situation, right? Well, this is going to be written about in the history books, because not only are we dealing with a global pandemic, but we're faced with the plague of institutional racism and police brutality. So I want to really just encourage all of you who are here to remember that this is not the end. This is just the beginning. The movement continues, and it goes to the ballot box, it goes to showing up to city council meetings, and also in running for office. We need elected officials who are going to reflect the values in our community. When we talk about defunding the police, what does that mean? It means reimagining public safety. Because what causes crime? Poverty, lack of employment, lack of opportunities for youth. And when the budget of a city is 43%, you can't invest in libraries, you can't invest in community development, you can't invest in preventative measures. So an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Let's make sure our budgets reflect that. Thank you for being here. The struggle continues. La lucha sigue.
La lucha sigue! 21 years old. That's going to be the next president when I watch it. I'm telling you. I'm 26 years old, and I always tell people, you got a lot of young folks that are ready to lead now. Just remember that. Maddox.
Yeah, let's get it.
This man right here is from Monterey.
Yeah, let's get it.
He's a powerful speaker. He's an activist. He's a black king of Monterey County. He's everything that I look up to this man, and I'm younger than him. I appreciate him for coming and speaking for us.
Before he walks away, stand right here. Stand right here for me, right here. Stand right here. Stand right there. Turn and look that way. Turn your whole body. I want a big round of applause for Nathan Sawyer. Nathan Sawyer's been doing amazing. Nathan Sawyer's been doing amazing. This is the evolution of MLK. This is the evolution of Rosa Parks. This is the implementation of the dream. And you are living it. I'm proud of you. I'm honored to know you, brother. We are proud of you. I don't even I'm so happy that I was able to meet you and be here. And you know, there's been a lot of marches, and there's been a lot of protests. And I've been involved, but I haven't really talked at any of them. And then this one came up about systemic racism, and I felt compelled to talk about it a little bit and in the way that I see it. It's a little controversial sometimes. I don't really believe in equality. I believe in equity. I need civil rights plus tax. Matter of fact, hold on one second. Madam, with your sign, the beloved sign, will you come over here for just a moment, madam? Matter ain't enough for me. Matter ain't enough for me. Black lives are beloved. My people have been tolerated, so regular won't do it. We have to be celebrated. If you even want to tip the scales, we have to be celebrated. Absolutely. I don't have to tell you how scary it is for a black man in America. I don't have to tell you no. I don't have to tell you what they've done to my people, you know. I don't have to tell you all the things that are wrong in our society, and that in actuality the system's working exactly the way it's supposed to.
Exactly.
The system's not broken, it's going great. We have to break the wheel. So I don't really want to talk about it that much. I want to walk about it. So I just want to make sure that I say Juneteenth is coming up. And well, there's two. So on the 19th, the actual Juneteenth, is a rally and celebration in Seaside, and then my wonderful friend Michelle and I have put together a Juneteenth observation and celebration downtown Carmel, Davendorf Park. My people will be celebrating, and I want to say this real quick, just so people know, and you'll hear it more when you come to the event. But Michelle and I have the same. So everybody calls me Maddox, but actually Maddox is my last name. But I carry it like, you know, it's everything. And Michelle's last name is Maddox. And we discovered that there's a high probability that we have the same last name because her family owned my family. We could have made it a way to keep ourselves away from each other, but we built a bridge with it. Yeah. And now we're gonna do this event together in Carmel so we can be celebrated. Blackness is not the absence of color. Blackness is all color. If your life matters, then black lives matter. I don't want to talk about it. Let's go walk about it. Let's go.
Okay, Nate, you got brains. Are you good with holding them?
Yeah. Sure. Try not to like move.
That's right.
Black lives matter. 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 Hands up.
Don't shoot.
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 I can't breathe. 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 I can't hear you. Let's go. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. All lives matter when black lives matter. 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 No justice.
No peace.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
No justice. No peace. 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 No peace. No justice.
No justice, no peace. Defund the police. No justice, no peace. Defund the police.
Thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks, Les. Yeah.
No justice. No peace.
Justice. No peace.
Defund the police. Defund the police. Defund the police. Defund the police. Defund the police.
No racist police. No racist police. No racist police. No racist police.
How many people there are? Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter!
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter!
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter! 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 No justice!
Black Lives Matter.
Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
Black lives matter.
Lives Matter.
Black Lives
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Still seeing patience.
Oh yeah, please.
I'm giving you.
I'm so happy.
I'm West. Transparency, West.
Hey!
Transparency.
Long time no see. Look at you. How you doing, man?
Yeah, good, bro.
Right on, right on. Beautiful. Thank you.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Whew, wow, this crowd gets goodbye byes.
And what he's actually been wanting to do is protest on.
There we go. I want to hear some noise. Rattle!
Oh yeah, my baby has the.
Is there a positive response? No, I feel that
What's up, boy? How you been?
Yeah, no. Well, stress is always, you know.
Yeah.
City's doing sweeps again, man.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be doing that, man.
Yeah, they need to take care of themselves, you know?
Well, and right now they're talking about defunding the police and stuff. You just give them ammo. Why nobody likes it?
You know, it's gonna happen. It might backfire, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna reorganize some of that.
They need to. I don't know if they will. You know, abusive parents are still parents, and they're still in charge no matter what.
It depends who power guys.
I hear that. All right, I'm gonna try to get back up to the front, I guess.
All right, keep me in touch. 585-8536 West.
I got you, man.
Black Lives
justice. No peace. Let the neighbors hear you. Police. No
United we stand. United we stand.
Divided we fall.
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 Hands up.
Don't shoot.
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 Whose lives matter?
Black lives matter.
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 Sit down a little bit.
Black lives matter.
Whose lives matter?
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 Black lives matter.
Hands up!
Don't shoot.
Hands up!
Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Don't shoot.
Hands up!
Don't shoot.
Hands up!
Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Don't shoot.
Hands up!
Don't shoot.
Good morning, Marina.
Don't shoot.
Hands up!
Don't shoot.
Whose lives matter?
Black lives matter.
Whose lives matter?
Black lives matter.
Team one.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
Good job, guys.
Black lives matter.
Making history.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
Guys, making history.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
Good morning, Marina.
Racist police matter.
Black lives matter!
Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
What are you doing, Marina?
Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
Picture.
I can't breathe.
Coming through, coming through.
I can't breathe.
Good morning, Marina.
I can't breathe. Hello. I can't breathe.
I can't breathe!
I can't breathe.
I can't breathe!
I can't breathe.
Hands up! Hands up!
Don't shoot.
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 Hands up!
We're not done. Come on, run us up.
What's his name? What did he say? What did he say? What's his name? What's his name? What did he say?
I can't breathe.
What did he say?
I can't breathe.
What's his name? No racist police! No justice, no peace! No racist police! No justice, no peace! No racist police!
No justice.
No peace! No racist police! No justice, no peace! No racist police! No justice, no peace! No racist police! No justice, no peace! Are we going to racist police? Who's on
Looks like he's still in a hurry.
Whose lives matter? Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
Whose lives matter?
Black lives matter!
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
Black lives matter. 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 Black lives matter.
Black lives matter! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Don't shoot. 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 Don't shoot.
No peace! No racist ass police!
No justice.
No peace!
No racist ass police. No justice.
No peace!
No racist ass police. No justice.
No peace!
No racist ass police. Good morning, Marina.
No peace! No
Racist ass police. No justice.
No peace! No racist ass police!
No justice.
No peace! No racist ass police!
Good morning, Marina.
No peace! No racist ass police! No justice! No peace! No racist ass police! No justice! No peace! No racist ass police! No justice! No peace! No racist ass police! Respect! 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 Respect!
Someone really wants to be a leader.
But I don't think he has a break anymore. Girl, mommy. Girl. She hasn't done this in over a year. And it didn't include pills.
She's definitely having fun.
Thank you. We're looking forward to having you. How old are they? I have an 11-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old. Oh, perfect. And a 20-year-old. All right, down a little bit. Black Lives Matter! 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 Good morning, Marina! We're here to tell you something. Black Lives Matter! 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 Morning! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Join us! Join us! Join us! Join us! Join us! No peace!
Very inspiring. All right, this is Love in the Air right here.
No peace! No racist police! No justice! 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 No peace! Black Lives Matter! 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 Black lives matter!
You get one of these young bucks, so they gotta be speaking for us a little bit. You can't be shy. Say Black Lives Matter.
Black lives matter! 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 Hands up! Don't shoot! 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 All lives matter when Black lives matter! 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 Hands up! Don't shoot! 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 Don't shoot! My horse is Elliot. She can't see color. Hands up! Don't shoot! 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 All lives matter when Black lives matter! 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 Take a knee. Black lives matter! Everybody catch up, get some breath. I know that. Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot! Take a knee! Take a knee! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot! Wait for a burst. You don't need anybody behind. We're not going nowhere. March is right around the corner. March is right around the corner. Let's wait for a burst. Everybody take a look behind you. Look at that beauty behind you. You are the difference. You are the difference. You are the resistance. I do believe we shall overcome one day. We will walk in peace. We will walk in peace. We will walk in peace someday.
thing. Gotta jump up real quick. I just want to say, man, proud of our community right now.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if everybody realizes we are at a wake. It is death for racism.
Yes.
We are at a funeral. It is death for racism. You know what I'm saying? It is death for racism, but we are the assassins. We are the people that will make a difference. We will make sure that the people behind us, that the children of MLK and Rosa Parks know what we did before we were constantly killed. They'll know what we did about it. They'll know that we stood for injustice. They'll know that we were here. They'll know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, Black Lives Matter. I want you to look on your left, look on your right. The people that you're around right now are the people you can call and know that they'll be there. You're not going to remember the words of your enemies, but the silence of your friends. You're not going to remember the words of your enemies, but the silence of your friends. Look to your left, look to your right. Remember these people, remember these faces. If you have to get their numbers later, get their numbers, because you know that they will show up. These are the people that you want, fighting for you, fighting for the system. These are the people that you want showing up to council, city council meetings. These are the people that you want.
Who will be there on Tuesday?
I don't believe in tribalism. I call myself a traveling hobo. I fought human trafficking, child labor all over the United States and internationally. Me and my wife have lived in Ecuador, Colombia, Costa Rica. I've lived in the Philippines fighting in the prison systems. And they're a lot worse internationally than here. My Afro-Ecuadorians, my Afro-Colombians, my Afro-Puerto Ricans, everybody all over the internationally, they're having a lot worse than the African Americans here. We have systemic racism. They still have 1965 racism, 1960 racism. When I was in Ecuador, I couldn't sit in the front of the bus like Rosa Parks. They don't have a Rosa Parks in Ecuador. My wife was asked to sit down and I was asked to stand up. And I'm pretty radical, so I sat down in.
As you should.
So remember where you're at. You're in a country where you can do anything that you want. But you better take us with you. I'm tired. I'm a Martin Luther King advocate. I fight for his words every day. But I'm getting tired of the peaceful marches. I'm getting tired of the nice, pretty speeches and poets that we bring to these things. My mom was trying to keep me from Malcolm X. She is an old NAACP person. My dad was a Black Panther, so I had to like separate who I believed in. But I'm starting to listen to Malcolm X's words.
Turn up, Black man.
I started to listen to Malcolm X's words when he said that the system wasn't for us. Martin Luther King was smart to get us where we are, up to the mountaintop. But we're not at the mountaintop yet. We're still on the side, climbing. And we're climbing as people. We have white people that are above us in the system. Look, when I say, I know we have a lot of low-income Caucasian people that say, look, I grew up just like you. And that is so true. You did. But my white brothers and sisters, even in Alabama, where I grew up from, they realized when they put on a suit, they got fancy and dressed up, I was still looked at as a black man, and they could change where they came from. They could come from poverty and no one would know it if you have a nice suit on as a white person. But as a black person, people hid their purse from me. As a black person, when I had a nice resume, before they saw my face, they would say, wow, this man could be the CEO. Until I got on the computer screen on a Zoom call, or I got in-person interviews, and they're like, whoa, it's unbiased racism. They're like, whoa, this is a great look for us.
Speak your truth, black man. Speak your truth.
You know, I had to fight. When I was in, I'm talking about, I come from Alabama, man. You guys have it really nice here. It's still racism here, but it's a lot nicer than where I come from. When I was in school, there was only 5 black people amongst all white people. You know, when I got to middle school, that was when I met all the black folks. My mom kept me inside when I was old school, things like that. I had to beg her to play sports. So when I was in kindergarten, they tried to help me back. They actually got, you know what, this is embarrassing to say, but you know what, I got a master's degree. So I was held back twice in kindergarten because my mom couldn't afford to take me back and forth to school. The school buses would come to the black neighborhoods to pick us up. We had to be dropped off My mom couldn't afford it. My dad died before I was born. My mom was amazing. My mom was amazing. I was the first in my family to graduate high school. My granddad was mixed. His mom was a slave. That's not that long ago. My granddad was mixed. My mom was a slave. His dad was his mom's slave owner. My other grandmother was black and Native American. They used to call my granddad Green-Eyed Hog Sawyer because he has green eyes. I have light brown eyes. My kids will probably get some kind of mixture because I'm in an interracial relationship. I'm tired of talking. We need to do something. Systemic racism isn't going to be changed if we don't do something about it. Talk to your representatives. You have more power than you think. We control the mayors, the city council members, the senators. We control them. We do. We the people. Me, I'm by myself. I'm 26 years old, and we managed with help to get all of you here. That I don't have any title that would give me any type of power against you.
Amen. You got us.
Me and my wife, you know the funny thing? I'm in all these big time organizations where I'm a VP of the DCMP Democratic Club. I was one of the top people in the NAACP. I spoke to Derek Johnson and did some nice meetings, talked to some big time senators and things like that. You know how much money we pull in together, me and my wife? My wife makes less than $30,000 a year. I make less than $30,000 a year fighting human trafficking in Monterey County. That's how much I'll be making. You know, and I'm always out here fighting. There's people out here making the law enforcement officers $85,000 a year. $85,000 a year. So we can't ask them to sharpen up their policies a little bit so they aren't hurting people in the streets and they're actually protecting us. We can't ask them to demilitarize a little bit. We can't ask them to put educated people in positions of power. We don't need any more GED and high school diploma people in law enforcement. I talked to the mayor about that already. This is the 21st century, not the 19th, 18th century. That's nice. That's nice that a lot of professionals or law enforcement officers say, hey, I didn't have college education in criminal justice. We don't need it. Yes, you do, obviously. You need some kind of education. You need intercultural training. Yeah. I'm going to let my brother speak in Spanish a little bit because I know we got some Latinas aquí.
So I'm going to touch a little bit on it in Spanish. For those of you who don't understand, you got people here that are willing to explain. I'll tell you that much because we out here together. Yeah. We out here together. Shout out to my brother Maddox because he's firing me up. Just like out here. Shout out to my brother right here, Nathaniel. Because he's the one who organized this. And you know what? I know he doesn't want to be in the limelight. He doesn't want that shine because he wants to shine together. Yeah. The sun's out here today. Yeah. You know? I'm going to calm down real quick. Para mis latinos, la comunidad mexicana. ¿Es Mike? ¿Sí me escuchan? Sí. Aquí estamos, mira. Americanos, ciudadanos, inmigrantes. La lucha sigue, pero no va solamente con la raza, pero con nuestros hermanos de color. Esta lucha no va a parar aquí. Nuestro hermano César Chávez peleó por nuestra raza, for social injustice, para tener lo que tenemos ahorita, para estar aquí unidos. A nuestro hermano Martin Luther King, que peleó por nosotros. Miren la belleza que está aquí con ustedes, sus hermanos, hermanas. La lucha va a seguir. Este movimiento no va a parar aquí. Tenemos que votar, tenemos que hacer el census, tenemos que ir al City Council, al City Hall. El racismo existe en nuestras calles, con nuestros vecinos, existe. Pero aquí, entre nosotros, vamos a parar ese desmadre. Something real quick in English. Thank you.
I mentioned to him that a true leader is a quote. A true leader is not powerful because he has power. A true leader is powerful because he empowers his people. And that's what my brother is doing. And I came with one of my sisters here. She's over there standing with us. You know, and I asked her, you know, I want to mention you real quick. How do I identify you? And she said, I don't know, just me. And it got me thinking real quick. Man, you know what do I say then? But you know what? She's a human being! She's a human being! We are human beings! And we're tired of this racism! And we're gonna move together as one, as human beings! Power to our people! Let's get back to Barton. Let's get back to waking up Marina.
¡Sí se puede! 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 ¡Sí se
One race, a human race. One race, a human race. Black lives matter! 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 When I say we're one race, it's a human race. We're one race. The 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 human race. I'm tired of hearing about. Join us! Join us! Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. All lives matter. All lives matter. Black 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 lives matter. When I say black lives, you say are sacred. Are sacred. Are sacred. Black lives 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 matter. 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 This is what democracy looks like. 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 Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Black lives matter. 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 Whose lives matter? 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 Black lives matter. No justice. No peace. No racist police. 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 Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot! 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 Thank you, John.
Of course.
No justice! No peace!
Police! No racist! Police! No justice! No peace! 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 No racist! Police! Whose lives matter? Black lives matter! 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 Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
But we also know from history that black people have been oppressed for a long time. Hispanic brothers and sisters are locked up, separated from their children for no reason other than that they, quote unquote, may be undocumented. I can go on and on.
No humans illegal.
You know what I mean? We got homeless people out in the streets who used to be. I actually fed homeless population in Seaside with one of my good friends, Kenneth Murray, a while back ago when I started really getting to know the communities. And we had a yoga instructor who would go out, give the homeless people at Seaside Baptist Church a good little exercise. And I met him. One day he came in with the feeding, and I said, "What are you doing here?" I forgot he was a white guy. I can't remember his name, he said. But he was a good guy. And I'm not going to say his name anyway. But I'm saying, like, I was like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I lost my house. I don't have a job anymore." And he ended up being homeless with the people that he used to mentor, to take care of. So it can happen to any one of us. Any of us. You know, sadly, systemic racism is an issue for the black and brown brothers and sisters. But my Caucasian brothers and sisters there, especially low income, you're not anything special other than that you can put on a nice suit and possibly maybe change your life if you wanted to based off of appearance. But deep down, low income brothers and sisters where I come from, my friend Kane Mitchell told me this. He said he'd rather be low income than black, and I didn't take offense to it. He told me he would rather be low income, poor, come from rats, roaches, and stuff like that than be black. Because he told me if he wanted to, he could change his situation. All he has to do is go get a college degree, and he's a really clever, cunning guy. He says that all he has to do is lie about it too and say, you know, he was this big time person, and people most likely will believe him over me. You know, he's right now he was a carpenter and all these other things, and he told me that he wouldn't dream of being black or brown. He wouldn't dream of being Hispanic. And you know, I could have been like, man, you're racist, but he was just being honest. He told me he'd rather be white, low income, than be black. Think about that. You got somebody that says that's 20, 25, 26 years old that said they'd rather be low income than black. That's powerful, man. Because we all know what it's like. I'm sure a lot of us know what it's like not to have, the struggle to maybe have check by check or look at your bank account and it'll be only $50 or less. But for a person like that to say he'd rather be broke and in the streets than black, that's something. That tells you about the system. That my brother Maddox told me. He said that he is scared to be a black man. And I told my wife when we were in Ecuador, she was the only white person, I was the only black person, quote unquote. There's a lot of Ecuadorians, and everybody was looking at her because they thought she had money. And nobody really noticed me, and I was actually the man that had the money because I'm the husband. I was the husband actually working. It's real big time stuff in Ecuador. And they would ignore me. They're like, they would put their eyes down at me. They were like, why is he sitting in the front of the bus? Why is he? Oh, he's married to her. Why? She must not have anything. You know? Systemic racism is a real thing. We need to battle that. That's all I got to say. I want to thank all of you for being here. I don't know where Rosalind is. Is she here? But anyway, come. Get you some water. Get you some snacks.
Yes, there's tons more up there.
Leah, please take as much as you want. We're done for today, but we're not done fighting. This was just.
I just wanted to say something real quick. I had to write a little something. First of all, hello to all of you on this thought-provoking protest day in the world. Unpredictability, chaotic times, dire, extreme circumstances where we're not safe in our own communities or anywhere in the world. And in the midst of much sadness, heartbreak, death, pain, suffering due to unnecessary brutality. Terrible traumatic treatment that could have been and should have been prevented, helped, handled better, and not resulted in such dramatic chaos. We must peacefully stand up. We gotta vote. We gotta vote. Make it count. Fight for our justice, for all our justice. For our equal justice rights and protections under the law. We can't stay behind the 8 ball. We have to speak up and be vocal, not silent. To be understood, heard, and free. Every opportunity we have to stand up in order to be truly seen, recognized, treated equally, respected. Oh my gosh. Glasses are fogging up. With no cuffs, chains, strings, no attachments. Everyone deserves a fair shake. There's way too many people that travel down the Freedom Road, and they died in our honor.
Yeah.
I can't see it.
Do make it hard.
We traveled on the bus, the Freedom Bus towards equality.
All right, just pull it down below your nose.
They traveled for so long and they died and fought, so we have to demand our equality and our dignity and respect now.
Right on, right on.
I'm done.
Because when George Floyd called his mama, he called me. He called you. He called all mamas to teach their children better, to do better in our community. It's a sad day when you have to send your 5-year-old child to kindergarten and teach them that he will be treated differently because the color of his skin. My 5-year-old came home from kindergarten, one of my 5-year-olds, and said, "Mama, they call me the black boy." I said, "Baby, you are the black boy and you should be proud of that." And that's beautiful. And that's beautiful. Never. We need to teach our children to treat each other kindly, to treat each other with compassion, to stop treating each other differently because the way we look or the way we walk. All mamas, please teach your babies, teach your children. If you didn't have a mama, I'll be your mama, right here.
Beautiful.
Amen.
I have to give an announcement to make sure that everyone knows that snacks are free. So if you are starting to feel lightheaded or anything, make sure you get water or snack. I also wanted to thank everyone for coming out today. Like, this is beautiful. Seeing all these different shades of people, different sexualities, just so many different kinds of people here coming together together to fight one cause. That's amazing to me. I also wanted to give an announcement that there's another protest later today, if anyone can make it at 3 o'clock, in Seaside, on the corner where Buffalo Wild Wings is. If anyone can make it, please come out. Fremont and Obama Way. Please come out if you can. I just wanted to thank you all again.
Thank
This
you.
is beautiful. This gives me hope.
Thank you.
This makes me feel, this gives me so many more reasons to fight. Is seeing all of you out here. So thank you for that. Thank you so much. I want you all to have a great day. Everyone have a great day.
Yeah, it's gone. I'm really excited. That was, man, give yourselves a round of applause. What a great job everybody did. Oh man. We came out and did it and represented. This is just the beginning. This is the wait for the funeral. It's going down, man. Racism is going down. It's gonna be dead. We gonna kill it. So I just wanted to jump up here real quick one more time and just say, the Juneteenth celebration, there's one in Seaside on June 19th. That's gonna be at Bethel, and then there's one on June 20th, downtown Carmel, Davendorf Park. We're gonna celebrate our people in the heart of privilege. And please come out if you can. If you can't, then it's gonna be live stream as well. So if you want to join live stream, you want to be there in person, but please come out, because for the first time ever, downtown Carmel, we're gonna celebrate Black.